everyone, and welcome to another stream! How's everyone doing? Hope you're having a good morning so far. I am streaming early today because at 3 p.m. the boy has an adoption event that we're taking him to. Hopefully he'll find a nice forever home. So, yeah, we're streaming early today so I can go do that between 3 and 6. How's everyone doing? Hope you're having a really good week so far. What is today? Sunday? Ooh. Hope your weekend went well, then. History Chick, thanks for 45 months. Freyline says, ooh, scare films with a link.
What if I want to have sex before I get married?
Well, I guess you just have to be prepared to die.
What if I want to have sex before I get married?
Well, I guess you just have to be prepared to die.
That's true. Any penetration before marriage, you spontaneously combust. Shame. Wish the world didn't work this way. Anyway, if you want to help, use the tip link. As always, it's the end of the month. We have rent to pay. So if you want to help out and you like the show, consider leaving a tip. It helps a lot. Other than that, let's just get into it and watch some weird scare films. Many such cases, true. You're dead right now. I've been dead for years, on the inside at least. Nearest Crowhill, thanks for 42 months, says, but Hannah, what if I'm into spontaneous combustion? Then you can enjoy that precisely once. To be clear, you shouldn't have to say goodbye to Kitty today. The adoption event is not like... I'm saying this more for me, I guess, than you, because I'm gonna miss him a lot. But he's not actually necessarily getting adopted today. People are gonna come look at a bunch of different cats, and then they can, like, apply through the rescue he's registered through, and potentially adopt him. So this will not necessarily be the last day you see the boy, or hear the boy, as he is one to meow. On the good news, he has been able to get out of the office because he got vaccinated and fixed and everything. We have been periodically under supervision, letting him into the rest of the house. The other kitties do not like him. But yeah, he's been able to get some space too, so that's nice. Ashley1up says, are these going to be Beware Communists scary, or Don't Even Hold Hands or You'll Get a Venereal Disease scary? I think it's a smattering. There's a variety of topics on these, so it's gonna vary. Hey, Trey. Oh. Music played. I should put this on. It's the costume. I can't laze it out and not wear the hood. That's the key part of the costume. That's what makes it a costume. Hannah. No, H-Baird. I'm actually taking the boy to an adoption event today to find him a home. So, you've lost this battle. But what if you bang a communist? Then you've banged us all, comrade.
If you've ever been in a small
Am I a
town
furry?
Midwest
I'm not,
on Saturday
Tommy.
night,
I'm not.
you have a pretty good
Unfortunately,
idea of what mine looks like.
I think my audience would probably relate to me better if I was. Oh, we're on a hype train. 5% to level 2 on the hype train.
Sidewalks won't hold everybody. It's a friendly crowd. A man will say hello to another man and ask his wife, who was that fellow I just spoke to? Children get sleepy while the grown-ups stand around and talk, window shop, or see a western in the citizen in this town for 25 years. Saturday night's always my busiest.
I found out the other day, you know the ASPCA, which, like, monitors movies and stuff for mistreatment of animals? You know, at the end of a movie it says, like, no animals were harmed in the making of this feature. They get a certification from that from the ASPCA. Anyway, the ASPCA became a thing in the movie industry largely because of westerns. Do you know how many horses they fucking killed shooting westerns? I found out. I'm not a fan of westerns. particularly. I like some of the spaghetti westerns, the Man with No Name trilogy and stuff. But by and large, I'm not a big western person. But apparently, you know, in scenes in westerns when there's like a battle or whatever, and you know, a horse needs to be galloping at full speed and then it'll fall over like it got shot or something. They're not really shooting the horse, but how they did achieve that effect was there was basically a big machine they would strap to the horse that would like hit him real fucking hard, enough to knock him down while galloping at full speed, which horses are not one to want to do because that can break their leg, and if a horse breaks their leg, that's it. That shit ain't healing. So anyway, westerns. I don't particularly like them, and apparently they killed a lot of horses. Anyway.
Time. The sick get restless and lonely when everybody else is stern. They want to be sure they're coming along fine.
We'll take a look at the pictures of Ryan Cooper.
Yeah,
I like a puppy.
Likes to know it's
Stone Corbell,
fine.
thanks for gifting us up.
We all want a peaceful place to live and raise our families. And
Holly Adams, thanks for following.
But we had to work for it. Because this wasn't a peaceful town a year ago, we had trouble.
Trouble right here in
It
River
cleared up
City.
on a Saturday night.
Take a look at these dog pictures that you posted. That is an adorable little boy. Cutie.
High school boys fought.
M. Scheffler says they also only care about the welfare of animals while the cameras are rolling. Anything that happens off camera is A-okay. Is that true? I actually didn't know that. Ashley One Up says we can at least say John Wayne made a better cowboy than he did a Mongol Khan. That's the movie where he got radiation poisoning.
A pitched battle on a back street. This was the fever from an infection called prejudice. Kids from the south end of town fought their bitter enemies from the north side.
Once you're a jet all the way, from your first cigarette to your last dying day.
When the fight was over,
Whose bits did I
Ed
miss?
Crandall's boy, Frank, lay quiet on the street.
There it is. H-Baird says, what if you bang a communist, then have a long drawn-out conversation while you're both nude in a movie where nobody would expect that much nudity? That seems oddly specific.
Somebody telephoned Ed. He got there as fast as he could. I knew the boy. Signed his birth certificate. 17 years ago. Brought him through measles and took his tonsils out.
30
the boys
seconds
who
on the
fought
hype
against
train.
each other waited all night for Frank. But there
The
wasn't
whitest of gang warfare. In fairness, this was the 50s, so some of those kids might be Irish or Italian, and at this point, that's marginal on the societal white scale. Back then, they considered that ethnic.
anything more I could do for him. He died before we could operate. Ed didn't want me to drive
Thanks
him
for the
home.
hype train, everyone.
He said he'd walk. I understood. We've known each other a long time, and I knew that Ed was thinking hard under his grief. By now, of course, the whole town knew what was on his mind that night. Ed couldn't believe that his son had enemies. Frank was a friendly, good-natured boy. Why would he fight those kids from the other side of town? The other side of town. That was Ed. Ed Crandall's boy died. Why? Because there was an invisible fence standing between two neighborhoods.
Sorry, the idea of, and I know gang, like, stuff in between neighborhoods still happens today, but the idea that people are effectively fighting small-scale warfare over, like, their neighborhoods is, like, fucked up and tragic, and a lot of that's socioeconomic in nature, but it's also, like, a little comedic, you know what I mean? Like, in a really dark way, about, like, wow, you're dying over your block? I don't know if that's worth it, but all right.
Ed was a lonely man, dazed and shocked by the real reason behind his loss. He began to think of some other fences he had seen in this town.
By the way, I don't know if anyone has seen, it was like one of the most popular movies that year. Steven Spielberg's remake or adaptation, I guess, of, why am I blanking? Maria, da 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 da, Maria. West Side Story. Really good. Really good adaptation. Really great shit.
That day in the candy kitchen where the high school kids hang out.
The candy
A fence
kitchen.
was there, separating one race from another. It didn't seem too important at the time.
Is this even a city, or is this just gang warfare in a random town? Random town, I think?
Just an incident?
Also, I'm a fan of Ansel Elgort. Big fan of Ansel.
Was it a symptom of an evil growth on the character of our kids? Now Ed began to understand the meaning of other incidents he had seen. There was the day he looked in on football practice. The coach read off the names of the boys who'd made the varsity team. Frank Crandall, fullback. Bill O'Connor, right tackle. And Jerry Kaplan, quarterback. Most of them...
That's more of a modern concern, I would imagine. Empty during, by modern, I mean more like 70s, 80s, 90s through now. In the 50s, I don't think these kids were fighting over who could... Like, unless it was like... This is our block, see? We sell the devil's lettuce over here. Like, if it was hardcore dirt weed dealing in the 50s.
Losers took it gracefully. But Johnny Stetson didn't. He'd worked hard for the position Jerry earned. But when he didn't get it, his prejudices blinded his sportsmanship. Another fence.
In fairness, this violence was just caused by repeated traumatic brain injuries. That's not on him.
This one between two religions.
Economic prospects for what, Trey? Like, I believe you. I'm just asking, like, is it a specific drug? Was it racketeering? Like, what was the thing they were doing? Because again, in my head, a 50s gang does this. This is what they do. They go around and they do awesome jazz, contemporary jazz dance, cornering job markets. Like, they were. I don't understand what you mean. Like, they'd be like, get out of this area. I work at the soda jerk.
Crandall's editor of our daily newspaper. He thinks square, and he's not afraid of facts when he sees them. The night his son died, the facts came home with a heart-crushing jolt.
Can you explain in voice chat very briefly? I don't really feel like talking to anyone today. So briefly, and to be clear, not on you at all. That sounds very rude. You're great, Trey. I'm just in a bad mood. But yes, if you'd like to briefly explain, you can. Give me a call on voice chat.
Ed laid them bare with the tools at his command.
There you are.
He wrote a fence-busting...
Hola! Wait, I can't hear you. Hold on. I might have to change my settings. I think I had it set to my different headphones. Give me one sec. I accidentally left my other headphone. Oh, wait.
Tell me if I sound like garbage. I'm on my phone. I do have access to my computer if needed.
All right, you're good. You sound fine.
Okay. So in certain communities, because of how segregated labor was from each other, gangs would often fight to have control over management in factories so that they can make sure their community was the one that was hired.
Oh, so like... Okay.
Think of it.
Violent nepotism. We are fighting to get our people in positions of power so that we can economically benefit from opportunities that you won't have, because fuck you!
Yeah, because like they all hated each other because it was the 50s, you see. Everyone was racist. And class consciousness wasn't invented in the US yet.
Okay. It still hasn't been, but...
It was around a little bit in the 70s and 60s. Anyways, so like unions were still very much viewed as a white people thing and not a thing that minorities can or should have access to.
Was that like the unions themselves were discriminatory towards non-white people, so it caused this issue? Oh, great.
Yes. So Yeah, because they were racist, high-paying jobs were a commodity that needed to be fought for. And this actually led to certain situations where, like, communities would make voting blocks in order to get themselves into positions of power.
Mm.
A great example of this were Irish communities in New York, right?
Mm-hmm.
They were targeted by law enforcement for a very great deal of time, and then like a handful of people basically said, look, we just need to get a pretty good number of us in a single department, and then we can make sure that all the cops are Irish. And that's why like paddy wagon as a term changed from being a thing like that you would use to pick up drunks to the paddy wagon being, you know, police vehicles.
See, I thought...
You thought that they were still picking up drunks as the cops, but
yes, I was under the
that's
impression
why.
that paddy wagon was a slur, basically, to be like the Irish commit crimes, so we're gonna arrest them all. Thus, paddy wagon. Like I was under the impression that it was a very racist term against the Irish, basically.
No, the Irish basically, like, this is going to sound very racist, but it all was at the time. The Irish basically presented themselves in New York at the time as being model minorities that could be weaponized against the Italians.
Okay. Italian Irish beef.
Yeah. So for a lot of different groups, when you're talking about these gang conflicts that would start up, they would quite literally be fighting over jobs in certain neighborhoods, and like being able to have the financial power to back themselves in their communities.
Okay. So as per usual, it's all about resources and opportunity. Woo!
Yep. All right, I'm gonna let you get back to stream.
All right. Thank you very much for the insight, Trey. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
All right, later. Well, there you go. That's good to know. Nice having friends who are smart and know things.
Editorial for the front page. That's how the whole town learned what was on his mind. Like everybody else, I clipped the editorial. Dear Mayor, it began. This won't be a very formal letter. I don't feel very formal. I just lost my son because there are fences in this town. Fences between neighborhoods, races, religions. Together, we've got to tear these fences down. Somehow, we've got to get our kids working together as Americans, right now. The next morning, Ed's editorial was on the desk of Betty Ainsworth. Betty's the secretary of the Community Welfare Council's Recreation Division. It reminded her of a youth program she knew about. Maybe that was the answer to Ed's editorial. She made the first move by calling a meeting
says,
of
if
the...
we get rid of fences, how will we buy cheap stolen goods? Boo!
Recreation Division to explain the idea.
You get the pun, boo.
The idea of a youth council composed of teenage delegates from all the youth-serving organizations. Let this youth council be directed by the kids themselves, she said, and let a few adults advise them
It's
when
a
advice is
UN
needed.
for gangs.
Phil Greenberg, a businessman interested in kids, John Latham, city commissioner of parks, liked the idea. Mrs. Simmons of the Campfire Girls and Fred Andrews of the Board of Education
I
agreed
think
that
the
it was
orange one saw this as a kid. I imagine he went to private schools. I think these were more a public school thing.
worth to try.
I don't know what 1950s private schools were like, or 1960s private schools. I guess I don't know exactly when he was in high school, but...
Mrs. Duncan wasn't so sure. Her point was that adults should take complete charge, otherwise the kids would get out of control. Harry Young dismissed the idea as
Boy
impossible
is biting my
entirely.
feet.
Betty was persistent because she knew what kids can do. John argued that kids must learn to think for themselves and make their own mistakes. That checked with Phil. He thought the youth agency, city and voluntary alike, would welcome a chance to see their groups working together. At that point, Mrs. Duncan changed her mind. Finally, the committee decided to accept the idea Betty presented to give the youth council a try in our town. It was a real event, that first meeting of delegates. The kids came from the well-to-do part of town, the not-so-well-to-do sections, and from a section some people call the swamp.
Jesus!
A lot of fences between neighborhoods were kicked full of holes that day. The kids were delegates from the YMCA, the YWCA,
I'm aware of the private school integration
the
thing.
Jewish Community Center, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, Junior Red Cross, 4-H clubs, youth hostels, future homemakers, and campfire girls. The high schools, church clubs, and settlements sent
Wow,
delegates.
they have the Beverly Hillbillies car. That's impressive.
And that accounted for every youth organization in town. The kids got right down to business. Election of officers went smoothly, but framing a constitution wasn't so easy. Every paragraph that was suggested touched off debate, but they argued it through to the finish, feeling their way along.
Why do these children all know procedure? Like, what's it called? Something procedure. Like in Congress or in any, governing body, there's usually like an official set of procedures and ways that you can like open the meeting. Parliamentary, thank you. Where did these kids learn parliamentary procedure from? I was in Model UN briefly. I should know these words. What country did we have for Model UN? Fuck, I forgot. I remember the thing that we brought to the table was something about toilets. I believe it was about trying to install more developed plumbing as a ongoing thing for our country. I don't remember what it was though. I wasn't very good at Model UN.
Advisor Fred Andrews could hardly keep...
I will say, I was in Model UN when Kim Jong... What's the current Kim? Is the current one Kim Jong-un? Was the last one ill? Whatever, he was ill, he died. No, whatever the last Kim that died was, during Model UN, so one of the groups, one of the schools had North Korea as their country for Model UN, which sounds awesome. What a fun country to have for Model UN. And during one of the Model UN sessions, they basically had a moment of silence for the last Kim Jong that just fucking died. It was so good.
Quiet in that first meeting. He did quite a lot of listening. When the chairman finally hit a snag and asked for help, Fred felt pretty important.
Also, no black youth groups. Whoa, whoa, whoa now. They let the Italians in. Let's take it one step at a time.
After the meeting, the newly elected officers posed...
It's the 50s. They don't consider those people people.
Fred Crandall's news photographer on the steps of the City Hall. Pepper Monroe was the first youth council president. Jerry Kaplan was vice president. Kathy Clark, secretary. Amy Trent, another...
Was she?
Jerry Kaplan
was she
was
maybe
vice
not
president.
white?
Kathy Clark...
Is she not white? I can't tell. She might not be white. I don't know.
Clark, secretary. Amy Trent, another vice president, and Warren Westover, treasurer. I should say Stuffy Westover. That's what the kids call him. He's my youngest boy. Well, a few weeks later, the council called a final meeting on the Constitution. Meanwhile, the delegates reported back to their separate organizations, and when they convened again,
This
they
is so
ratified
boring. Can we go back to stabbing each other in the street?
the Constitution. My
Patriots,
son...
apparently George W. Bush referred to Kim Jong-il as Kim Jong II, which is why font choice is important.
who seems to get most of his bright ideas when I'm not present.
I should implement parliamentary procedure in your chat. I hereby call a motion to adjourn. Motion overruled!
Suggested a big get-together of all the kids in town to have fun and learn what the youth
Point of order. You're cool.
council was all about. Another delegate proposed that the shindig be held in the YWCA, the biggest hall in town. Nobody opposed that.
Ah! Stop
Some more
biting
fences
me!
were going
No
down.
bite! No bite! He wants to play.
The big get-together was an unexpected hit with everybody. So successful, in fact, that it embarrassed the council officers. They had to turn some of the guests away at the door. The committee got together in a huddle. Here was the biggest place in town, but it just wasn't big enough. The kids really wanted to get together. It was clear that none of their organization had facilities large enough to take care of the crowd. Why not get a place of their own with everyone chipping in? Their enthusiasm took a nosedive when they learned that the housing shortage was real and applied to everybody.
Peace.
Every member of the council
Peace,
went out hunting
senor.
real estate. But results were discouraging until Jerry and Amy found a
No.
warehouse that was owned by the town. The building was filled with dusty old equipment, but the kids were sure they could fix it up. My boy Warren came up with another one of his big ideas, to go direct to the town council and ask for that warehouse. Well, Pepper Monroe did the talking, and I understand he asked the town fathers if there were any reasons why the youth council shouldn't get the warehouse. There were. What about remodeling and upkeep? Pepper didn't exactly
Jesus,
know.
boy. Okay.
What about fire regulations? Who's
It's
going
not
to administer
funny now.
the
You're
building?
really hurting me.
Pepper
Please stop.
fumbled for the answers, but he wasn't prepared. That warehouse is for equipment, not for jitterbugs. That's dumb.
I gotta
This was
rehear
one-
that. That was very 50s.
That's dumb. That warehouse is for equipment, not for jitterbugs.
What did you just call me? Did you call me a jitterbug? You fuck?
That's dumb. This was one of the times when Paul
In the 50s, that was devastating, being called a jitterbug, apparently.
Bauer wished somebody else were mayor. He told the kids to get more facts. They walked out of there, 3 spanked kids, with their heads full of problems like
people
fire
pay good money
laws,
for that.
building maintenance, administration, and taxes. Spanked but not licked.
I'm aware of what jitterbug means.
They wished they'd talk to their advisors first. It still wasn't too late.
Remember when they had those phones for really old people that, like, only had 3 buttons? Weren't those called a jitterbug or something? I don't understand numeric keypads. Please just give me a button to call the police.
They called an emergency wiener roast meeting. The advisors got
Hello,
royal treatment.
police! I saw an Irishman
As
outside
usual,
of my
Stuffy wasn't
window.
hungry. That evening, he told me the advisors knew exactly how to handle the warehouse problem. A complete campaign was mapped out, not only to get facts, but support from the townspeople. First, the Youth Council organized a speakers bureau to spread their ideas to the women's clubs, unions, PTA, vets, everybody. Pepper was booked right away for a speech at a men's luncheon club. Next, Jerry went to the municipal engineering department to get facts about remodeling the warehouse, repairing it, and maintaining it.
Wasn't this about gang warfare? It still is, but they've started a gang UN, and the gang UN has decided they just want to dance. So they're gonna open a hangout spot in an old warehouse, and that'll solve all the gang killings.
Then the question of money came up. The town's welfare council recommended the project to the Recreation Commission. The commission provided funds for...
Unironically, though, they're trying to give the the kids want something to do. Like, it's really not that crazy. That's a thing a lot of communities have actually done to try and cut down on, you know, gang activity and stuff, is try and give them something to do that isn't stabbing each other, doing drugs.
Remodeling and upkeep. Then the community chest offered a temporary director. While this was going on, all the kids went to the people for support. They rang doorbells all over town. They made a lot of new friends. People of all nationalities and races, of all religions and different points of view. Encouragement and support came from ministers of all denominations in town, from the local parish priest, and from the rabbis. The whole town warmed up to those kids, and the kids warmed up to the town. Their enthusiasm bubbled up in a weekly column they wrote for Ed Crandall's newspaper. A column with humor, surefire news value, and for readers of all ages. The campaign brought results. Mayor Bowers was bombarded with letters asking why the kids couldn't have the old warehouse. Paul told me that everyone felt that kids were more important than idle equipment. Then the Youth Council, with the full backing of their organizations, sent the mayor a formal and carefully thought-out petition. In the end, the people and the facts had their way. The teenagers and the adults agreed that there was a real need for a large center where members of all youth organizations could get together. Betty tells me this isn't necessary in many towns, and most youth councils don't have to undertake a building
Welcome to The Place. They also called the column The Column. These kids aren't very creative. I see why they stab each other a lot.
project.
Oh.
Right off the reel, the kids planned a gala opening of their new place. That week, there was a mysterious shortage of paintbrushes and stepladders all over town. The housewives had no dust claws, and the hardware store...
That's funny to think about. This is just a random thought, but, like, there's so many, like, big box stores that I think of things as ladders as infinite. But, like, if it's 1953, and you're in a small town without a big, you know, there aren't, like, a huge store, you probably don't have a department store in town, or if you do, it's a relatively small one that, you know, has a limited stock. In a certain town at a certain period, you could legit have all the ladders in town. Like, oh, we don't have enough ladders. We have all 7 ladders in the whole town. You know what I mean? I don't think about these things.
A land office business.
You could just have all of that thing, a thing we take for granted, ladders, and you just have all of them, unless someone wants to go to a city nearby, buy more ladders.
The kids hammered and painted for days. The tensions and hostile feelings that used to divide them melted away as they worked together. When they gave their headquarters to adult groups 4 nights a week, I knew they were recognizing other people's needs too.
Wait, why do the adults get it more than half of the week? Adults get it 4 out of 7 days? The kids are the ones who are remodeling it. What the fuck?
I heard in a roundabout way that my son discovered a hidden talent in himself. And if the less said about that, the better.
The Sears catalog was the Amazon of the 20th century. That's true. You could order houses out of the Sears Roebuck catalog. And it would come all, like, pre-cut. It would put them together. Like Legos, but more complicated than Legos. Like Legos, but with drywall framing.
The Youth Council has helped to make fine citizens of our kids. They've taken an interest and pride in our town that has strengthened the whole community. It's always been a neat-looking town, but the kids decided it should look a little neater. That's how the big cleanup campaign was started. Thanks to the kids, we're a town with not only a clean face, but an understanding and a kind heart. The Youth Council helped organize welcome stranger clubs in the schools. And now, when a teenager comes to town, he's welcomed, shown around, and accepted as one of the gang.
Gang? I thought that's what we were trying to stop.
And then, just about the time everybody was wondering what the kids would do next, they came up with a gesture of gratitude and a contribution to our common future.
The twist is the kids learn the power of collective bargaining and become communists.
To thank the town for its cooperation, the kids went out on the edge of town to plant trees.
The kids keep talking about this wacky thing called the proletariat. Must be some new kind of ice cream sundae.
Supervised the job. He's been a forest ranger for 45 years, and the gang was his to command.
They start a gang war with the next town over. Oh no, we've just developed a stronger, more powerful gang!
Fred Andrews saw to it that there was music to work by. He arranged...
Holy shit, they fucking lugged an entire giant... man, I'm pretty sure transistor radios existed. I think that would have been easier. You carded a whole record player, not just like a record player like we might think about today. This is a piece of furniture that you brought out to a field and presumably connected to a generator. Incredible. Just incredible.
For the Board of Education's loudspeaker system.
Pull the Victrola up the hill. Victrola up the hill. Made a deal.
There they were. Charlie Brown, Mary Gallucci, Jack
Charlie
Rosenbaum,
Brown!
Mike O'Hara,
We caught you, Schultz, you fucking hack.
Hank Plosky. Kids from all parts of town, working together, having fun together. The spirit was contagious. The grown-ups couldn't stay away.
Transistors didn't exist until the 60s? You're right. This would have been tubes. This is tube country.
Very young, the fellow who said it wouldn't work turned a hand to make it work. The doings of these youngsters and their youth council have been a tonic for this town. The kind of tonic that democracy needs. From north and south, east and west, from all parts of town, people were getting together. What are differences when there's work to be done?
Where's the gay peanut girls? They're eating each other out at the community center where all the kids are busy out in this field.
The difference if arms are black or white. If they belong to Catholics, Protestants, or Jews, the difference if arms are black or white. If they belong to Catholics, Protestants, or Jews. Just so long as they're steady and willing
Funny
to...
that they're like, doesn't matter if arms are black or... hey, the message is positive. I will accept it as a good thing regardless, but it is a little funny, the optics of being like, it doesn't matter if you're black or white. All of these people happen to be white, but, you know...
work together. And not against one another.
I respect the message. The optics are a little funny, though.
It's been a year since Ed's boy was killed. It's been a year since the fight on the football field.
Transistor radios became available in 1954. I don't know what year this was, so... who knows?
Johnny Stetson and Jerry Kaplan, now partners in all youth council projects, planted a tree together. A tree's being planted here, too. A young tree with tender roots and twigs. It seems to me that our way of life is like this tree. We've got to tend it in mutual friendship and trust. It can only grow strong when you and I care for it together. Its roots thrusting deep into the land we love.
Yeah, thrust those roots deep.
Its branches reaching
I
upward
apologize, that was disgusting.
into the fresh, clean air of freedom.
Transfilm production. Alright, next one.
See the guy behind the wheel of that Boulder Street Lightning? That's me, Bullet Bill Bowers.
Oh, I don't know if I can watch that one. The audio on that's pretty bad.
My folks and I just moved to this new city, and it sure seemed to me like we'd picked out a town full of sleepwalkers.
Maybe it's fine, I don't know. Hey, Jesse.
That included the fellas and girls my own age, too. I never saw such a collection of Sleepy Joes, and they drove like rich old...
Sleepy Joe! God. Why can't I escape politics even in this 1950s film strip? I wanna die!
I never saw such a collection of Sleepy Joes, and they drove like rich old ladies in old-time electric heaps.
And this kid's name? Joseph R. Biden. Hit it. Amber says, actually, teenagers and gangsters especially would be part of what Marx called... oh, fucking Russian words. Sorry. Where is Marx from? He wasn't directly Russian. He was from one of the Balkan states or something, right? Anyway. Lumpen proletariat, that is, the lowest parts of an industrial society. He believed that they were incapable of class consciousness, and that was a harsh point of disagreement between Marx and his anarchist contemporaries, namely Bakunin. Marx was German.
Let's educate the high school on the subject of hot rods. How to take a jalopy and really make it move. Why, in the burg I came from, I had the juiciest bug of any rotter in the goose greaser. That was our street.
You had the what?
In the burg I came from, I had the juiciest bug of any rotter in the goose greaser.
I had the juiciest bug of any rider in the goose grease. I understand that he's saying I had the coolest car in town. Bug I kind of get. Juiciest bug. Okay, I can accept that. Goose grease. The town is goose grease? Okay. Okay. Something.
That was our street racing club. And I had the biggest collection of traffic citations, too. All us greasers drove the cops crazy.
Greasers! Duh.
And I could have started a private mental sanitarium for those I'd worked over. I hadn't met Walt Perry and his sister Janet yet. Walt was
This is when you could buy a car for like $12, by the way.
president of the night, the City Auto Sport Club. His sister was
Cars were, I even mean like relative to inflation, and a lot of that's for good reason. Cars these days are built with a lot more safety features in mind, computerization, lots of stuff that increases the price. But I cannot explain to you how cheap cars were at a certain point in American history relative to the incomes of the median person in America. You could just... There's a reason it's the stereotype of in the 50s, all these teenagers with cars. Because they weren't that expensive to get. Because they were just like metal death machines with very few safety features, if any.
secretary. I guess my roadster impressed him. Yeah, I really had a job putting some life into this town. Why these jokers even walk slow? I went into my act at lunchtime, trying to bring the word to a bunch of prime squares. But believe me, that was the coldest audience anybody ever played to. I got nothing. Just nothing. I didn't get it at all. Were these guys abnormal or something? Or had I joined up with a bunch of zombies? It was gonna be tough, but I'd have to bear it. I was stuck with it. This city was a slow burn.
This kid is so judgmental and insulting. His name... It's Holden Caulfield. We did it. What a phony. All these people are such fucking phonies.
It was kind of lonesome that first day. Then
Hope
after
they'd run off of a rye field next to a cliff for no discernible reason.
school. But I knew a way to get him to notice me. It had always worked before where I came from. Yeah, they knew I was around now, all right. You should have seen them scatter. I got a lot of attention. Some of it's not quite what I had in mind. Officer Jim Daniels came to school to give his regular safety talk. He took off after me.
I do not consent to your authority. Oh, was he gonna run away? Okay, no, he was pulling over. I thought he was gonna, like, genuinely get in a police chase. Did I speak to your supervisor, officer?
First he told me I was driving like a wild man. I took that as a compliment. And then he asked if I was a member of the night. So I said no, I was a ghost greaser and wanted to show him my card. But all he wanted to see was my driver's license.
I'm a traveler?
So I was getting my first ticket in this city. Didn't impress me much. Like I say, I held a goose greaser record. But it was a different kind of a ticket. Well, I had to go to court, all right. But that wasn't new. But this court was held right in the school. And the judge
What?
and jury and the whole court were girls and fellas like myself.
What? They're doing a teenage traffic court? Are they trying to embarrass him? What? Is this legal? Are you allowed to just deputize high schoolers to do your traffic court?
How about that? I didn't dig it at all.
I guess you could just do whatever you want if no one stops you, but like, it just seems like no one was like, this is maybe not a good idea.
Officer Daniels was there. He was the police department advisor. The judge really socked it to me. No, I didn't have to go to jail or pay another fine.
Sock it to me.
I was sentenced to a special traffic school for unsafe and reckless drivers. I'd heard about these school courts all over the country. How they'd help cut down teenage accidents.
Oh, this
But I
kid
never
from the
dreamed I'd
50s
end
thinks
up in
he's so
one.
cool because he has a gavel. I have a gavel too, dead 50s kid. I hope you died in Vietnam.
I had to find out from somebody just what was the matter with this town. Why were they so far behind the times?
New drinking game. Take a drink every time in one of these old films I hope some kid died in Vietnam. The trope that happens enough. I've said that before, right? Sometimes I've said Korea.
I guess Officer Daniels had figured out what I was thinking. He suggested that Walt and Janet Perry explain a few things about their city and hot rodding the night's way. They gave it to me, both barrels. They weren't behind the times, I
Hannah,
was.
that's dark.
How about
Yeah, so was Vietnam.
that? Me behind the times. So, I began learning about real hot rodding. The kind that develops after World War II. That's when thousands of high school and college kids and servicemen were bitten by the speed bug. They began cutting down and souping up stock cars and racing them in the public streets. It didn't take long to give drivers under 25 a bad name. Why? Maybe because teenage accidents were killing or maiming somebody once every 2 minutes, causing
Wow, every 2 minutes. That's pretty good.
more damage than all fires, and twice as many casualties as we had in the whole Korean War.
See, I'm not bad for bringing up Vietnam. They brought up Korea. That's fine.
The police cracked down too and collected driver's licenses wholesale.
If it's been over 50 years, you can make a joke about it. Basically, no matter what it is. Just for the record. That's the law. Freyline says, so peer traffic court was and still is a thing. That is fucking bizarre. Youth court aims to educate teens about traffic violations. What in the world? Judge Michelle Gelsin has just a few minutes to emphasize the importance of safe driving skills to teenagers appearing before her with traffic violations. Usually the parents just pays the ticket, but how does that change behavior? What did they learn, said Gelson, who works in Bothell Municipal Court. I didn't have time to really educate. Car crash, blah, blah, blah. Just get to the thing. Bothell Youth Court. The youth-led court gives young drivers an alternative to municipal court. Since established in 2013, the court has heard nearly 100 cases. That's not that many. Is this article old? Hold on. 2018? In 5 years, they only heard 100 cases? Why is there even an article about this? Like, this is a non-thing. 100 cases in 5 years? Oh, so you barely did a thing. Okay. Jay's a proxy with 130 stream streak says teen drivers, the real nom. 870 to go. Indeed. To participate, students have to be between 16 and 17 years old and have no previous tickets. Teens must also acknowledge guilt. The benefit is that the ticket is not reported to the Department of Licensing and there are no insurance ramifications. Youth court procedure begins like many other courts. Judge is introduced, opening statements. When it comes to choosing a sentence, known in youth court as a disposition, restorative justice approach is taken. Court is recessed as the jury, attorneys, and the offending student form a circle to collectively decide a penalty. The conversations start with students discussing who might have been harmed by the traffic infraction. Students give suggestions on how similar situations... See, to me, this just sounds like a nightmare. The only reason this would prevent me from doing, speeding or whatever they're in traffic court for is because I find this all cringe, and I'd be like, I don't want to be a part of this again. We're gonna get in a circle and talk about the consequences of my actions? I'd rather pay the ticket! God!
This scene was played up in a national picture magazine.
For 50 years as an Irish, we're still salty about the potato famine of 1845. You can make potato famine jokes. Baja's Irish. I make potato famine jokes all the time.
Like Walt explained, figures don't mean much, just reading them.
In fairness, I also make kill the English jokes, so it evens out.
More impressed by what happens to you personally. Tom Hanks was Walt's best friend, and his hero, actually. Tom had been in the Air Force as a fighter pilot. Now he was going to college. Tom had built up just about the slickest cut-down custom conversion in existence. You see, Tom had a big advantage. His father, George Hanks, had a big auto repair business, and besides that, he manufactured and sold speed parts. Mr. Hanks had to admit that his son had the...
This is Tom Hanks before he found a Zoltor machine and wished that he could be small. I'll let myself out.
...hottest motor in town. But Tom shouldn't have spent all his time on the motor. There are other parts to a car, too.
H-Bird says, how I imagine the circle of punishment goes. I never liked how Galron looked. Am I crazy? Like, I have always hated how Galron looks. He looks gaunt? I've never enjoyed how he's the leader of the Klingon Empire, but he looks the least like a Klingon to me. Like, he just got a big forehead, but then it kind of, it's like it dips into just this tiny little face. Got a tiny little face. Anyway, no disrespect to Galron. But...
like those little gimmicks in the wheels, the brakes. Tom was breezing down the road, and he was catching up to the 1105, a pretty fast freight. Then he thought of a good test for his engine. If he could beat the fast freight to the crossing, he'd know his engine was perfect.
Are you a follower of Duras? I am not. I am a follower of Kalis.
Then the engine sputtered. Missed, slowed down just a little.
I feel like we don't talk enough about how the Duras sisters were killed in Star Trek Generations, one of the worst Star Trek movies, and they just never come up again. They're one of the only groups of recurring villains from TNG, and they just get killed randomly in a terrible movie.
Tom wouldn't beat the train. He'd have to use his brakes. But he didn't have any, and it was too late to turn off. It was easy to find that leak in the brake line, but Tom had spent all his time on the motor. A whole lot more impressive
They were
than
killed
figures.
with stock footage from Star Trek 6. Was the ship explosion ripped from 6? I know they've done that a few times in the movies. I didn't remember it was that one, though.
After the accident, Mr. Hanks told Officer Jim Daniels he wanted to do something, anything, to keep other boys from getting killed the way his son was. Well, Officer Daniels was ready.
Generations is still better than Insurrection. I'd have to think about it. I watched them all recently. Baja and I did a watch-through of TNG, and then we watched the TNG movies. We're currently on Season 2 of Picard. Season 2 has been a lot better than Season 1 so far. I didn't like Season 1 of Picard. Season 2's been fine. The movies for TNG are really bad. Like, even the supposedly good TNG movies, like First Contact, are not good compared to, like, the good TOS movies. It's kind of bewildering to me what they were doing in the TNG movie era. Why in Generations did we have one opportunity to cross over Kirk and Picard, and they did the stupidest thing ever that makes no sense, and kills Kirk twice canonically, both in really embarrassing, stupid ways? Also, we killed Picard's family for no good reason, and it's horrible, and Soren, the villain, sucks. Doesn't make any sense. Yeah, Baja's a Trekkie.
Reading about a new kind of hot rod club with stiff, safe driving tests and which only admitted members who hadn't had a ticket for 6 months. They raced their cars, but only on special safe drag strips after complete safety inspections.
Everything after Generations is just Picard and the Nexus hallucinating. That's not even a bad theory, because the Nexus gives you whatever you want. So if Picard entered the Nexus and wants to leave, maybe the Nexus just gives him a fake version of him leaving. Who's to say he ever left? Thanks, Tom Hanks.
So that was how the Knights Hot Rod Club was organized. Mr. Hanks was its sponsor, and Jim Daniels agreed to be police department advisor. Mr. Hanks turned over a garage to the club and gave them enough tools and equipment for a start. Every hot rodder in town wanted to join.
The movies that are worth watching in the Star Trek series are 2, 4, and 6. You can skip the other one.
But the safe driving test and no ticket requirement kept out quite a few at the start. Then, while they were waiting for a drag strip, the Knights began getting their cars in shape to qualify. And to many proud owners' surprise, a lot of the cars failed the safety inspection. Those that failed were disqualified for racing, so the owners worked them over night and day until they did pass.
If you like the motion picture and you're prepared to die on that hill, that's not an unreasonable position to take. The director's cut of the motion picture is better. The theatrical cut, I don't hate it. I can watch it. But boy, a lot of those shots really take their time. The motion picture director's cut is one of the only director's cuts that I'm aware of that's shorter than the theatrical cut. They cut a lot of the shots shorter, which I think is better for the pacing of the film.
The inspection teams were getting good, so Officer Daniels decided to play a joke on them, see just how good they were. He brought over a prowl car that was ready for overhaul. The mechanic had found 5 things wrong. Now Jim wondered whether the Knights could find them.
Found the sequel of Tom Hanks' glow-up arc. Bosom buddies. Yeah, Tom Hanks and Peter Scolari both starred in Bosom Buddies, a show where they pretended to be women.
It was so cheap. Our friend Amy said there was a great apartment in her building. Dirt cheap, but it's a hotel for women. Okay, we made one adjustment. Now these other ladies know us as Buffy and Hildegard. But they also know us as Kip and Henry, Buffy and Hildy's brothers. I am crazy about the blonde. This experience is going to make a great book.
R.I.P. Peter Scolari, you were a real one.
See, it's all perfectly normal.
Oh wait, is this the theme song to this? It's a good song.
I don't need you to
Worry with me, cause I'm alright. I can't play, copyright.
All the inspection teams joined in, teaming up on Jim's car.
Just a little force spin as a treat.
And they found the faults all right. And then more faults. And more faults. And more faults. A dozen more than the contract mechanic had located. When Jim got that report, he realized he'd been driving a death trap. He was lucky to have gotten to the
Wouldn't you
garage.
have to kind of watch Star Trek 3 to enjoy Star Trek 4 quite as much? I don't know about that. You could. I think you get it, though. You open the fourth one. Oh, Spock's back. They got Spock back. We get it. That's it. That's all you need to know. Oh, why do they have a Klingon warbird? Who cares? They're back in time. It's fun. They're saving whales.
July.
4 is my favorite Star Trek movie. I don't know. I'm partial to the comedy in it. It's a quite funny movie. 2 is the best, more dramatic movie, but 4 is fun.
Yeah, the Knights had made a believer out of Jim. Meantime, Mr. Hanks was collaring all his business friends and getting them to help sponsor a drag strip and safety program. He was a real salesman. Almost before they knew it, they were signed up. Knights sponsors. Mr. Hanks and Jim Daniels went
Am I on LDS?
for a site to develop a good, safe
No,
drag strip.
I'm not on Mormons.
They found an old airfield that looked like it would fill the bill. It didn't take long to get the strip ready. And when the Knights staged their grand opening and their first-time trials in drag races, they were really on their way. The club began to infest.
3 the one where Kirk's bratty kid gets killed? Yes, he gets killed by a Klingon played by, Doc Brown, Christopher Lloyd.
People. The whole city, in fact. The Knights were proud.
Yeah, I'm on Picard Season 2 right now, and I just got done with the episode with the punk rocker from Star Trek 4. I enjoyed the reference, but I sat there thinking this joke is completely indecipherable if you don't get the reference. The joke only makes sense if you are aware that that is the same guy from Star Trek 4 and you have seen Star Trek 4. Pretty interesting.
Their club, and were out to build a new reputation for hot rodders, for courtesy and safe driving. More and more motorists in distress received club courtesy cards. They led a successful campaign for driver education and auto shop training in high school, and right away...
I hate the Borg Queen. The Borg Queen is stupid and makes no sense, and I hate the Borg Queen.
This began paying
Why
off.
is there a Borg Queen? There is no queen. They are Borg. They are Borg. Why is there a queen? I hate it. I hate her.
Just as it has everywhere. In a survey in one state, 800 untrained drivers had 5 times as many accidents as 800 who had received training in school. At the
Harbkosian, thanks for 3 stream streaks, as I hope everyone is doing well. I hope you are too.
same time, the untrained drivers got 7 times as many traffic tickets.
Cybok is the best character name in Star Trek. Excuse you? Have you met my friend, Groppler Zorn? R.I.P. Groppler. You were trying your best. You just wanted to enslave an alien to help your civilization. But no, the Federation had to stop you. Poor Groppler Zorn.
Believe it or not, teenage drivers who are trained in school courses have a lot fewer accidents and get a whole lot less tickets than adult drivers. The driving teachers say that the students really go for it. Driving class is one they never miss. And why would they?
Groppler wasn't stopped by the feds. There was a whole other alien there. Was that how that ended? Another alien showed up and stopped him from using the other alien for what he was using it for? I don't remember.
Every now and then there are guest speakers.
In my defense, Groppler Zorn is from Encounter at Farpoint. This is a bad episode, and also the premiere of TNG.
Like the famous Ralph De Palma, who's considered the greatest racing driver in the past 50 years. He always tells the girls and fellas that nobody appreciates and respects careful driving more than a professional racer. Well, sure, all that safety stuff was fine, I told him. Sounded good. But speed was my meat. A good fast mill and a tire-burning takeoff. Tonight's go for speed too, Walt said. And then he asked if I'd like to bring my job out to the drag strip Sunday and try it out against some of their wagons. This was what I'd been waiting for. Walt had himself a deal. But I never got near the
Yeah,
strip.
the jellyfish holding hands. Okay. Okay. Yeah, they're like space jellyfish. Do the space jellyfish kill Groppler Zorn? Who kills Groppler Zorn? Let me look this up. Why is it so hard to find footage of Groppler Zorn? This is bullshit. This band is called Groppler Zorn, which is great. Good for that band. Listen to Groppler Zorn. Groppler Zorn versus Morn, who's better? Probably Groppler Zorn. Morn talks too much. Joff, thanks for subscribing on YouTube. Ooh, funky. Ooh. Look at these fucking hipsters. I love them. Look at this hipster-ass fucking Groppler Zorn band. Oh, yeah. Ooh. Okay. We're just kind of walking. We're just, okay. That guy's vibes. I like this guy's vibes with the fucking giant saxophone, like the bass saxophone and the mustache and the blue turquoise fucking shirt. This listening is real easy. Not enough of the bass saxophone. More bass saxophone. Okay, I'm getting obsessed with the Groppler Zorn band now. We gotta move on. Sorry.
They wouldn't let me. They checked my car over and said it wasn't safe. It took me a month working after school and on weekends just to get ready to pass the safety test. So I was finally going to get my chance. While we were waiting for them to qualify my car, Walt showed me around, explaining how a properly run drag strip operates. There are, but the main one is the ratio of weight to piston displacement. This determines the basic engine class.
Ryan Cooper says, pup date. Dog has been delivered to an ecstatic family, now returning back home. Hell yeah. Good job.
After a car is weighed and classified, it gets a complete safety inspection. I knew from experience how tough this is. Those inspectors don't miss a thing. That's why drag strips have run for years without a serious accident. When it's been classified and inspected for safety, a car is ready to run. It gets an official number.
An official number?
But drivers have to be in good standing, too. If they're not of age, their parents have to okay them.
I'm skipping past... I'm not a car person, okay? Cars are the least interesting thing in the world to me. They're a conveyance to get from one place to another, and they're not even a good one. I don't like cars. I'm skipping to the next one. Oh my god! Her name is Gladys L. Butt? Does the L stand for licks? Gladys licks butt?
The home economics class I teach is ending today, and there's an air of excitement among the girls as they look forward to our next day's class. 3 of my students, Janet, Mary, and Pat,
Damn it, Janet.
seem especially interested in the subject of our next class discussion, making the most of your face.
I know something about this. Sometimes life hands you a car wreck, and you just gotta do your best with it, you know?
Watching them, I can guess why they are interested. Janet has mentioned to me her concern about her light eyebrows and thin lips.
Oh, so we're just gonna literally point out perceived flaws in these actual young women. Oh, that was probably good for their self-esteem. That's good. Glad we're here.
Pat wishes she could do something about her very round face.
What's wrong with a round face? I would argue that that's, like... I know beauty standards change, but I feel like for women, a round face is considered relatively attractive to a decent number of people. I feel like, if anything, like, transvestigator type people very much point out, like, this woman has a too angular face, it's not round enough.
And Mary's skin needs care, but she isn't doing much about it. Tomorrow they will learn that making the most of your face begins with certain basic health habits. Let's see what health practices these girls follow at home. After Pat washes her face thoroughly before going to bed, she gives her face a further cleansing and lubricating with cold cream, because Pat knows her skin is very dry. She wipes away the excess cream carefully with cleansing tissues.
Excess? I have dry-ass skin. When I put on fucking face cream at night, there is no excess. My skin drinks it like it's been in the desert for a decade.
Mary has a more common problem. Her skin is very oily. But she doesn't seem much interested in making the most of her face, although she'd really like to. Mary's not going to sleep yet, and won't for quite a while. She usually doesn't get enough sleep. Her oily, broken-out face shows her diet is probably bad.
She leaves that hand mirror there so she can check her pores in between fistfuls of chocolates shoving into her face.
Bad. Mary eats too much chocolate candy and other rich foods. She just doesn't seem very interested in anything.
Is there... I know this is like a stereotype that I've heard from back in the day, that eating a bunch of chocolate or sugar or something will make you break out. Is there an actual connection between those things, or was that like a 1950s bullshit old wives' tale? Is there actually a connection between, like, eating a bunch of chocolate and breaking out? Or is that a complete myth? Like, obviously it's not good to just sit and eat a bunch of fucking sugary anything, for obvious reasons, but you know what I mean?
She hasn't even washed her face or set her hair, although she knows she should. Mary...
It's an old wives' tale? That's funny.
...isn't going to show her best.
Because, like, I've never had big acne problems, even when I was a teenager, and I ate a lot of chocolate. I think it just more has to do with your oiliness and, like, washing your face and, I don't know, like, genetic stuff? I don't know.
Best face this way. She could take a lesson in skincare from her friend Janet. Janet's skin is very oily too, but she washes her face often and thoroughly. Removing excess oils helps prevent blackheads and pimples. Soap and water is all most girls need for this. Janet has an occasional pimple. Pimples are often caused by improper diet and faulty elimination.
I mean, sometimes people just get pimples too, especially when you're going through puberty.
One does show up.
I think it's not very good to teach people, like, if you have a pimple, it's your fault. Like, first of all, not a big deal. Everyone gets pimples from time to time. It comes with your subscription of being a human being. It's not good. You know how many complexes this must have fucking caused?
Never squeeze or pick it, or you may leave a scar or spread infection. Janet is interested in how she looks and has brushed and set her hair for tomorrow. She knows that 8 to 10 hours of sleep help her feel rested
8 to 10?
and full of life. In the morning, Janet's hearty breakfast after a good night's sleep helps to keep her radiant all day.
Don't forget the milk. The dairy lobby's check cashed, so drink a couple glasses of milk, please.
Mary usually gets too little sleep and eats a poor breakfast. Her face doesn't express that inner beauty which comes partly from good diet and rest. No, it's easy to see that Mary isn't helping herself much. Beauty comes from inside a healthy body. Pat and Janet are full of life and interested in things about them. They are eager to go to school to talk about what they consider their problems of making the most of their faces.
Ugh.
Perhaps Mary will benefit most from what will happen in class. In class, we are talking about making the most of your face. The girls are eager to discuss their problems. Now we are ready for questions.
Can I just take a step back and point out how absolutely fucked up it is that they are spending time in class at school teaching girls, all right, we gotta make you look pretty for your husbands. Like, I feel like we really need to take a step back and acknowledge that. This is time in public school being taken to tell young women, girls, hey, so you know how you're insecure and fucking ugly? Let's fix that for your future husband, because that's your job, is to be pretty.
Questions. Pat wants to know if she can do anything about her round face. I asked her to come to the front of the room. Actually, the way Pat wears her hair emphasizes the roundness of her face. I am brushing her hair back to suggest a more oval face shape, which is considered more pleasing in appearance.
Just say it like it's objective, like there's one set standard of attractiveness. Oh, God.
Now the roundness of her face is less noticeable. Lucy has a different problem. If you wear glasses, bangs may hide too much of the face. With her hair brushed back from her forehead, Lucy's face has a more pleasant balance. If your face seems long and thin, like Linda's, long straight hair will make it seem more so. But hair worn full and with bangs can help give width to Linda's face. No matter what the current fad in hairstyles may be, select a style that is best for you individually. One that will do the most for your face. Janet is asking about her eye and lip problem. Most teenagers do not need eye makeup because their lashes and brows are dark enough. Janet's eyebrows are neat and well shaped, without stray hairs above or below the brow line, or above the bridge of her nose that she might want to pluck. But Janet feels her brows are so light in color that her eyes seem small. A touch of oil or Vaseline on the brows would not darken them enough.
Vaseline?
There are two kinds of eye makeup Janet might want to use. One is mascara in cream or cake form.
Hannah, you might not like the Borg Queen, but you can't deny the female Cenobite. No, I like her. Why wouldn't I like her? The problem with the Borg Queen is that she's antithetical to the entire ethos of the Borg. Ashley One Up says, okay, girls, next lesson. This is Dr. John, the plastic surgeon. Did everyone bring their permission slips? I wish I was in that class. If anyone could take a hammer and smash my face into little bits with it, just little tiny bits, and specific my nose would be great. Form it into something, not this. That would be awesome.
And the other is eyebrow pencil. Janet should first brush her brows into
And I mean brutally. Like, I want it to look like a scene from a Terrifier film.
place with a dry brush. Then apply only a little darkening to a shade that harmonizes with her hair, following the natural lines of the eyebrows. Brushing helps smooth out the color. Most girls do not need their lashes darkened. Remember that eye makeup is not supposed to show. If it shows, it is poorly done.
I still haven't seen Alien Romulus, actually.
Eye makeup is applied so that...
I actually haven't seen... This might surprise people. I've not seen Alien 3, I've not seen Alien Resurrection, I've not seen Prometheus, I've not seen Prometheus 2. Was Alien Covenant a thing? Not seen that, but that was the thing. Am I imagining that one?
You would not know she is wearing it, unless you remember how she looked.
Have I seen Prey? Hell yeah. Prey was great. I love Prey.
Without it.
I've always been more of a Predator fan than an Alien fan in the first place, in fairness, so. Not to say I like the aliens. I like xenomorphs. I think they're cool, but I'm more of a... I thought there was a Prometheus 2, right? Or something? Alien Covenant was basically Prometheus 2, right? Or something? I don't know. Some Ridley Scott shit.
Now Janet's eyes appear larger and more prominent. Janet's other concern is her lips. She feels that her lips are too thin. Lipstick may help to give the effect Janet wants. Lipstick is the only cosmetic that is supposed to show. But like other cosmetics, it should harmonize with your own skin coloring and not be out of harmony with the color of the clothes you are wearing. Though there are hundreds of shades of lipstick on the market, there are only 3 basic reds.
Okay.
Blue red.
Why are you even showing this? It's black and white. This close-up doesn't help. This doesn't help me at all. Like, I know that on the logic of, like, a shot by shot, of course you would do an insert here showing them. But it's in black and white. It doesn't convey to me the information you want it to.
Yellow red and true red.
That's it. Those are the 3 reds. We did it.
Choose colors that harmonize well with your clothing. For example,
what if I'm wearing a stupid fucking costume for a year?
Laura to put on blue-red lipstick. Blue-red lipstick goes well with both her pink skin tones and her rose sweater.
Again, it's black and white. The color talk doesn't help.
Once you've picked a good lipstick color for yourself, apply the lipstick carefully. Your lips should be parted and relaxed. Beginning with the upper lip, outline the lips carefully, following the natural shape. Where fullness must be added, draw this line only slightly beyond the natural line. Then, fill in this outline, stretching the lips. Blot your lips to remove the excess if necessary. Though lipstick is the only cosmetic that is supposed to show, it should never look thick, greasy, or obvious.
The only cosmetic that's supposed to show? What? M. Scheffler says, soon you'll be using a puppet while wearing a costume. That'd be great. Use the tip link. Even if you're watching this later as a VOD, HannahReloaded.com/tip. There, I shilled myself. I'm disgusting!
If Janet should want to use a touch of powder at times to take the shine from her face, the powder should also always harmonize with her skin tones. Makeup, correctly worn, will never call attention to itself. It will be a subtle, natural part of you.
Doing like a natural face of makeup, but like glamour makeup, whatever. This is the 50s. There was a pretty standard makeup thing. Yeah, I don't think you're supposed to be too ostentatious about it, otherwise they're gonna call you a whore.
And so our class is learning that you can make the most of your face by using hairstyles that go well with your face shape. And by using makeup sparingly but effectively.
How much left until puppet? It's that. It's the tip goal up here. Like, what is that? 650? 650, I think.
But far more important are good health habits, both mental and physical, which can help us all develop and radiate an inner beauty. I can see that Mary is becoming interested. What I am about to say next really applies to her. Poor skin care, poor diet, and too little rest often result in very oily, broken-out skin. With proper diet, rest, and good skin care, most of you can be sure you are making the most of your face.
Yeah,
For some
I saw
of you,
Harold Edelman. I saw you commented about
a
it.
change in hairstyle may be helpful. For others, a careful use of makeup may be desired. Learn and apply a few skills to improve your appearance. Then stop thinking about your looks. Following the proper health habits can lead to a radiant vitality and interest in the world about you. A healthy mind and body produce an inner beauty which can help you all make the most of your face.
Format sure put out a lot of these things. This is like their whole thing. I think we watched What to Do on a Date some years ago.
I was thinking of calling her. Got any more tacks? I sort of like things like this too.
Discussion problems in group living. What about juvenile delinquency?
Where are we heading? Tell you when we pick up Jamie.
This one on MST3K. Can I say something that'll probably shock all of you? I've only seen like one episode of MST3K in full. Seen plenty of clips. Seems fine. Enjoyed what I've seen. I've not really seen much MST3K. You'd think I would've, based on what I do for a living. Not really, though.
What's that guy waiting for? Give him a bump. Yeah. Turn him again.
Oh, cut it out. We'll get in a jam.
What's the matter? You chicken or something? Come on, move it!
What do you punks think you're doing anyway?
What was that you called us?
Well, I just bought that car. Now look.
Don't you have any homework, Jamie?
I told you no. Going out as soon as the guys come by to get me.
What time? It's already after 8. I don't know why you can't stay home for one evening. Your father will be home in a little bit. Should be home now. Just where is it you're going, Jamie?
If I knew, I'd tell you. I don't know.
Time to start preparing puppet time. I got time. We're not even halfway there.
boys. I'll write your orders with my new pencil. Hey, those are great. My dad's got one just like it. Where'd you get it?
From your dad?
We just swarmed all over a guy. Fell out of his pocket. What? When did this happen? Just before we picked you up. We bumped some guy in a big Buick and he gets out and starts getting smart. Yes, that's...
Reminds me of Girl Gang, except they're all dudes.
Let's call his names. Boy, did we...
Has anyone seen Girl Gang?
Give it to him. We should have messed him up. You should have been there, Jamie. Who was he? I don't know. Some big bald-headed guy. What kind of a car did you say it was?
Oh, it was what's the matter with you?
I asked her what kind of a car it was. I want to know.
Wish the guy's just knifed dad. It might be him. That would make sense.
It was a yellow Buick. Why?
Yep.
What do you want to know for, Jamie?
You killed my dad! Wish someone would... I don't think I can say that on Twitch. Let's reverse that joke I was about to tell. M. Scheffler with $25 tip says, puppet, puppet, puppet. Thank you so much for the tip.
What's his trouble? I don't know, but this isn't the place to find out.
You killed his dad, dipshit.
We'll see him in the morning at school when we give this to him.
Don't include lightning on your patches. It comes off as Nazi shit. I get it. I'm sorry the Nazis ruined so many symbols. Lightning bolts are one of them. Stop including lightning bolts on your patches.
Jamie,
How's Dad?
how did you know?
I heard it over the radio. How is he?
He'll be all right. He's resting now. He was terribly shaken up and bruised, though. Oh, it makes me sick to
Maybe they're terribly socially awkward at using Roman patches. I am in so much existential pain, I cannot deal with it.
Jamie. I'm sorry, Dad. I'm sorry.
There's nothing for you to be sorry about, son. It wasn't your fault. I'm all right now. You'd better get upstairs to bed.
I'm sorry, Dad.
Am I making fun of Barry Allen? Yeah, Barry Allen's the worst Flash. He can eat my ass.
Better take this back, Jamie.
We didn't know it was your dad, Jamie.
We wouldn't have done it if we'd known.
Leave me alone. Take it, Jamie. You keep it. I don't want anything more to do with it. Now, look, Jamie, don't get smart. Don't forget, you could have been along instead of one of us. Could have been one of our dads. Wouldn't see me moping around if it had been my old man.
I find that a little hard to believe. You'd be fine with your other gang members beating up and robbing your father?
Don't worry. I'm not
Why did they beat up his dad? To steal his stuff!
forgetting a thing.
They're doing general nuisancery. They're going around and robbing people, mugging them and stuff. For funsies.
Just count me out from now on.
There he is.
Jamie, we want to talk to you.
He's busy.
Have you seen the paper this morning, Jamie?
Have you read about the special session of the city council they're having this morning?
And all the things they're talking about doing. A curfew, upping the age of
Barry
driver's
might
licenses.
hate his dad. Fair and relatable.
Canceling the football games, the parties, the dances, and everything else.
And it isn't fair, Jamie. Most of the high school students haven't had anything to do with the things that have been happening. Like last night, and the statue that was broken, and the theater seats, and all that.
but we're all going to suffer for it.
I didn't have anything to do with it either.
And don't look at us.
We didn't kick over any statues.
You've got to help us, Jamie.
Well, what do you expect me to do?
We're going over to the city council meeting right now and see if they won't listen to our side before they do anything about it. Mr. McPherson said we could go. He excused us from school.
And he said you could go with us.
Look, all of you, leave me out of everything you're planning. All I want to do is mind my own business.
But this is your business, Jamie.
You heard him. He's not going anywhere. He's no sap. We're going to the city council.
Go ahead and laugh. Right now, you guys are more afraid than we are, but you're not fooling us. You think you can laugh at anybody who stands up to you, and pretty soon everyone else is laughing at him, and you think you've won.
I understand that they switched to a shot that's, like, supposed to imply a first-person perspective of the gang member because it's supposed to imply that he's speaking directly to the audience and admonishing potential behaviors in the audience that are displayed by the gang here, but it's just off-putting and I don't like it. Don't look at me in the eye like that. I can't handle eye contact.
Well, I don't care if you laugh or not. It won't be funny if the city council does what they're talking about.
I wouldn't advise any of you to go to that meeting if I were you. I'm warning you.
Are you going with us, Jamie?
No, he's not.
I'm talking to Jamie.
Well, what do you want me to do?
They'll listen to you, Jamie, because it was your dad that...
I'll go with you.
You're not going anywhere.
You're looking into my eye. Does that make me uncomfortable? As long as I don't have to see it, it's fine. Problems with eye contact, that's called autism. I've never been diagnosed, I'll have you know. And as long as I refuse to get diagnosed, I'm not. Saying Barry Allen is the worst Flash is like saying Guy is the best Earth Green Lantern. No, Jon Stewart is the best Earth Green Lantern! My opinions on the Justice League are entirely based around the animated series. Putting the no in diagnosed. I do have medical insurance now, so I guess I could maybe try and go get diagnosed if I cared to. I don't think it matters. Holy crap, Swell Entertainment! Thank you so much for the raid. Welcome, Raiders. I'm Hannah Reloaded. I do so much weird stuff. We look at old footage of old, like, educational films, which we're doing today, and talk about them. I look at conspiracy theories and why people believe them, what people believe. If you like what you see, maybe give a follow. We're having a pretty chill day today. I'm actually almost done for the day because I have to go take a kitty to an adoption event that we've been fostering. But it is good to see you, and I'm glad you're here. Hope you had a good stream, Swell Entertainment. If you haven't, make sure you check out Swell Entertainment. Let me do a shout-out command. Well... Oops. Did that work? There we go. Make sure you check out Swell Entertainment here on Twitch. If you think you're not familiar with Swell, you probably are. If you've ever seen her YouTube channel, she's the one whose intro has the glasses and goes like, that's it. That's my intro. She's great, and she's been streaming, so go check her out. Watching 24 Hours of Daytona today. Like the racing thing? I do think I heard Swell was doing some racing content and got maybe in trouble copyright-wise for a minute. Glad that seems resolved. Anyway, right now we're watching an educational film from the 50s about juvenile delinquency. Fun stuff. Show the time stables of races. I don't know what that means, unfortunately.
Let's go get the car.
I've not watched Creature Commandos. I know, it's good. It's good. I've heard. I'll watch it. I just haven't yet. The next Patreon/YouTube member stream is going to be on Thursday. I normally would do it on Sundays, but like I said, I have to take the boy to an adoption event today, so.
We're not talking about pranks and letting off steam. We're talking about criminal acts of violence. I say if these kids want to go around beating up people and wrecking things to prove how tough they are, then it's time we prove to them just how tough we are.
Mayor Honeywell, could we say something? I'm sorry.
What's all this? Do you have some facts to give us that we don't already have?
I don't know whether you'd call them facts or not, but, well, everybody keeps talking about teenagers as if we were a bunch of freaks or something.
We're just wasting time. We wasted too much time.
Literally, the group of kids that are the delinquents are wearing a uniform with a lightning bolt patch. They are not hard to point out and go, hey, I think those specific kids are the problem. They're identifying themselves via patch.
Already. We've invited Mr. McPherson here. He's principal of the high school, and he can tell us anything these kids can tell us.
No, I'm sorry, I can't. That's why when these students came to me today, I asked them if they'd be willing to come down here and put their case before you. And I think you should hear what they have to say. This is Bill Stillwell, the head of the student council, and Chuck Leewood, captain of our football team. And Sally Lawrence here, the senior class president,
And Jamie's dad was the one who got hurt last night.
Mr. Mayor, I think Mr. McPherson's right. And I think these students are right, too. Teenagers aren't all delinquents. Only a few are involved in these criminal acts that we're all concerned about. If these teenagers, who represent all of the rest, have the courage to come here, then I think we should not only listen to them, but I think we should invite them to help us stamp out this vandalism. I say let's let them talk.
All right. We don't want to punish all teenagers for the trouble a few are causing, but something has to be done.
So, get fucked.
You know how serious the juvenile delinquency problem has become. We have to take some action to prevent this sort of thing from happening again. Now, if you have some suggestions to offer, we're willing to listen to you.
Otherwise, we're banning dancing.
What can we do? And what can you do to prevent juvenile delinquency? You tell us.
Because we're all out of ideas. We've tried nothing, and we've got nothing. Will he? Oh my God! They're gonna do an ambiguous ending. Fuck you! Will he? Will he turn in his former friends? We don't know. All we know is we don't have to shoot it. Fuck you!
What would you do if you were Jamie? What can we do about juvenile delinquency? What would you say?
This is bullshit. I'm not watching films directed by the Riddler anymore. I love how half of the educational film logos back then just look like the most fashy shit ever. I guess it's pointed towards the olive branch, though. That's good. That's good.
Oh, my best glass!
Right. I told you couldn't do it.
Well, what's the matter? It's not the end of the world. I'll buy you some more glasses, Miss Harvey. Like you getting clumsy or something? You tripped me.
Oh, I'm just sick about this glass and never will be able to replace it. I'm sorry, Mother.
I don't know why you used your good crystal when you knew those young roughnecks were coming.
Oh, I wouldn't call them all roughnecks.
Well, a bunch of smart alecks then.
Daddy, most of the kids acted all right, and Jim and Frank didn't mean to break the glass.
Well, maybe not.
This one feels like cut in the middle. We didn't even get like a title card.
Makes you wonder about kids nowadays.
Gang around him, who still thought he was pretty funny.
Ooh, her voice is a little too high for my ears. Ooh, this one's in color. Ooh, bass. Yes. Immediately into this one. Take it for a walk. You gotta love a suspicious bass riff. Sneaky urban jazz. Ooh, I like her jacket. Someone go back in time and steal that jacket. Also, I said urban jazz, which implies the existence of rural jazz. Oh, it's from Kansas. Is this gonna be about VD? Man, if you knew jazz clarinet back then, you were just fucking set, huh?
Ready to go now.
Betty, you and Dawn aren't leaving, are you? It isn't late.
Well, I think we'd better, Mrs. Turner, but we had a wonderful time. Thank you so much.
That's the trouble with going steady with a girl like Betty, Miss Turner. Mother always expects her home by 11.
I can't even believe they're allowing those two to date. They're both so redheaded. That kid's doomed.
Well, you come back again.
We will.
Did they force the two redheads in town to date each other? They're breeding a superior redhead.
Kind of quiet.
Was the big steering wheel thing in the past a physics thing? Like, does a bigger radius of the wheel make it easier to turn without power steering? Because, like, the wheel's edges are further apart from the center? I don't know if the physics works. Yeah, it is? Okay.
Tonight.
Uh-huh. Don?
Mm-hmm.
I've always noticed the cars back then had huge wheels.
No,
I guess that makes sense. It's sort of like when you know, the outermost of the wheel and you're turning, it's almost like a lever and you're further away. So that, okay, I get it.
Never felt about anyone with...
The further you are from the point of contact and you're moving it angularly,
Betty,
it's gonna...
I think you're wonderful, too.
Hey, you better watch out. We're getting on the wrong side of the road.
Smash the rib cage more effectively. You want to see something horrifying? I've shown this before. We'll go back to the video we're watching. Just a quick tangent. When I was a kid, my parents got me this crash test dummy seatbelt safety video. I know I have somewhere. Here it is. I think. Maybe not. Anyway, there was an old video that was like 20 minutes long or so, and it was all about seatbelt safety. Here it is. They had horrifying footage from, like, you know, crash test dummy tests that, like, shocked me as a child. I was like 5 when I watched this. Hookah, thanks for 50 months.
If a 15-pound baby and a 150-pound adult both slow down at the same rate, as in hitting a wall doing 30 miles per hour, the force produced by the adult is 10 times the force of the baby because the adult has 10 times the mass of the baby. Now, if the child is on the adult's lap and they're both on, first we'll see what it looks like with belts.
With that. Oh, it still looks painful. Oh.
Those guys have it easy. Now that's more like it. I can almost taste the windshield du jour.
Obviously, most of the force is focused either on the chest and head from the steering column, or on the face meeting the windshield and dashboard. Of course, as you can see here, an unbelted child is much more vulnerable, even capable of being ejected from the vehicle.
Again, I watched this when I was like 5. Pretty sure it traumatized me.
Well, I guess the best place to start is at the top. If you can't...
Anyway, so this video has more footage like that. That's of, like, horrifying crash tests.
Pull off the road for a few minutes.
Oh, I have to be home by 11, remember? Uh-huh.
Okay.
Was this before airbags? This educational film?
Sure you have
yes.
to be home right away.
Why?
The crash test dummy video? No.
Oh, I guess not. Not for a while, anyway.
Yeah, I had some crash test dummy toys, I think. I remember that. Weren't seatbelts optional in the 50s? I don't remember the exact year it became a national thing, or if it ever was national, or if it's just state by state. But yeah, in the 50s, I believe they were optional. I've driven in a 1950s car like this because my grandfather he sold it at this point, but he had an antique 1950s Ford, which was a very cool car to see. Scary to drive in, though, because it had bench seats with no seat belts, no airbags, everything's metal. Scary car to drive in. Cool to see, cool to be in, horrifying because any moment, if you crash into anything, the entire car is going to destroy you. To be clear, that car, he was only legally allowed to drive to and from car events. There's like a special license plate for it as an antique vehicle. You could take it to car events and from car events, and that's about it. Or to and from storage if he was storing it, because it was just too dangerous to be on the road. Except when they do let you take it on the road, I guess. He also had a 70s Lincoln, which was crazy how big it was and all the features. It was a 70s vehicle with all electric everything. Absolutely insane. Like, even, like, the wing mirrors were electrically controlled from the 70s.
Betty.
Must have been a crazy expensive vehicle at the time.
Let's go home, Dad.
What are they implying happened? I don't even know. Is he supposed to have assaulted her? What happened? They changed that rule in Michigan. Now during summer you can drive all you like. Oh, that's dangerous. When I go back and watch again, yeah, I do have to end soon, so we don't have a ton of time, but... Yeah, I think it's just supposed to imply... I can't tell if it was supposed to have been... I guess within the fiction of the thing, I'm trying to figure out, is she supposed to have been assaulted? Or was it consensual and she's just feels guilty? Because she certainly seems distraught, but that could be more from a cultural angle. From the 50s, they assume women don't actually want to have sex, so anytime you do have sex, it's because you were pressured by a guy. Like, I don't understand. I'm assuming it was not necessarily supposed to be an assault, but, like, she regrets it? I don't know, though. I don't know. Feeling guilty? That's kind of my assumption. Because based on cultural norms, she would be expected to feel guilty, even though you shouldn't if you're having consensual, relations with someone. M. Scheffler says, I was born in the 70s, and half the cars I rode in didn't have seat belts, and my parents bought me and my sister one of the very first baby car seats. They looked like a death trap by today's standard, but a good improvement from having no car seat.
Betty.
Let's go home, Dad.
Okay.
All the jazz is sadder now.
Hey, Don boy, what's the matter? Looks like you got deep thoughts. I was just thinking about something, Nicky, that's all. Just thinking.
9 months later, Ron Howard was born.
Wait, did Betty find you a changed man?
Hey, you come off that right now. Listen, Betty's not...
That's a weird cut. Betty's not...
Say, Nicky.
Yeah?
You know those girls in the city the other night?
Yeah.
You think they might have had something?
You bet they did. Oh, you...
Oh, you mean venereal disease. Bummer.
I mean, no, just forget about it, buddy. They're just a couple of good kids who want to have a little fun.
Well, I don't know, Nicky. Something happened.
You think the film was damaged and edited? Probably. That's not uncommon. This is put together by a company called Something Weird that puts together really great restorations. I have a lot of their Blu-rays and stuff. Hold on. Did Something Weird do this? This is American Genre Film Archive. I don't think Something Weird was involved in this one. I guess I don't have one right in front of me right now, but I have a lot of Something Weird's compilations and stuff. They do really good restoration work.
Something happened.
Well, I've got some sort of sword down there.
Well, don't worry about it. It's probably just a pimple or something. The same thing happened to me, and it cleared up all by itself.
Well, maybe, but I think I ought to go see our doctor just to be sure.
Well, suit yourself. Personally, I'd just forget all about it.
Well?
Yeah, here's one, for instance.
There they are.
This is a Blu-ray someone sent me a while back before I got rid of the wish list thing. By the way, if you're looking for my wish list, I took it off for now just because I'm out of space, and you've all been very generous with the movies you've sent me from my wish list, but I had to delist it because I have no room. Anyway, something people sent a while back. This is a restoration. Not much of a restoration. They pretty much kept this not looking great for stylistic purposes. But they did this Santa Claus versus Conquers the Martians in association with American Genre Film Archive. That's pretty good. They put out a lot of stuff. They're great. Yeah, I heard about the Toxic Avenger movie too. I'm crossing my fingers, but I don't know. Toxie's a hard thing to get right. Toxic Avenger is such a specific kind of, like, thing that's, like, it's ironic, but also silly and campy and fun, but, like, if you lean too hard into how silly it is, then it loses the humor. I don't know. I hope it's good.
Take a look at this.
Is it something bad, Dr. Carlson? You know
It's
what it is?
herpes!
Well, there's no doubt about what it is, Don. Those little corkscrew things are the germs of syphilis.
Oh no! It's syphilis! At least he can just take antibiotics. Right? That's curable. He's good.
Syphilis?
A couple decades ago, it would be a death sentence. Then it would get to your brain and you go crazy like Al Capone. But now you're fine.
Gosh, Doctor,
Now, take it easy. It isn't the end of the world for you. We can cure syphilis, especially if we find it in the early stages, such as yours.
Are you sure it's syphilis, Doctor?
The dark field examination is proof enough. We'll also run a blood
Is syphilis the one that's colloquially referred to as the clap?
test on you before you leave.
Or is that something else? Occam's VD, the syphilis explanation is usually correct. That's gonorrhea. Not herpes. Chlamydia. Chlamydia. Okay.
No, I don't know how I got it.
Here's nostalgia for you. Oh, the crash test dummy.
Those crash dummies!
Hey, dummy, give me a break. Wheel!
With their crash and bash chair.
Crash bash!
These guys really take a beating. But no dummy day would be complete without a ride in the crash car.
Oh, the cars were awesome. That would like crumble.
Don't you, dummy. Buckle your safety belt and leave the crashing to us.
The incredible Crash Dummies. Crash and bash chair and other stuff sold separately.
This is probably apocryphal, but when I was a kid, I heard it was called the clap because the way that they would test for it was they'd have you stick your penis on a table and then do this, and if discharge came out, they said you had the clap. Again, probably not true. Sounds like an apocryphal bullshit thing kids would make up. But it's a funny story.
I haven't done anything.
Don, let's be straightforward about this. I'm not here to make a moral judgment, but you and I know that it was contracted through sexual intercourse with an infected person.
Well, I heard you could get something like this from a toilet seat or something.
About as much chance as being hit by a meteor.
What am I going to tell my dad?
The best thing is that...
I don't think you need to tell him. Why do you think you need to tell your dad you have syphilis? Just get the fucking penicillin. You're fine.
Telling the truth.
Wear a condom next time.
I'll talk to him if you want me to.
Why does the dad even need to know? What?
There's some things you should know about this disease of yours. Now, here we are. This is the sore you have, Don.
Ew.
It's called a chancre. It is usually painless. Sometimes it looks like this, and sometimes like this. When one of these appears on or around your sexual organs, you've probably got what we call primary syphilis.
Boy, that's pretty awful looking.
Well, now, actually, the appearance...
True, Ashley, one up. I hadn't considered, too, the local pharmacist is probably friends with your dad.
Chancre.
In my head, a pharmacist is some random person that gives you medication and you never see them again. I forget, this is a small town. The pharmacist probably knows the kid and his dad. Jesus.
It's rather fortunate. Sometimes this sore does not appear, or it's so small that you wouldn't notice it. And when that happens, the disease might go unnoticed for years.
Well, what happens if you don't find it right away?
Well, the results can be tragic in many instances. Syphilis can cripple you, blind you, destroy
I really gotta
your
go
brain.
soon, so I'm gonna speed this up.
Of course, it may kill you eventually.
Well, you did say it could be cured, though, especially in an early case like mine.
Yes, in the stage you have, we can knock out the spirochete in a hurry.
Spirochete? What's that?
Well, that's the corkscrew-shaped thing that you saw in the microscope. Like this. These germs enter the body when you have sexual intercourse. They burrow into the skin, usually causing a chancre to appear where they entered.
In
They work
fairness,
their way-
you entered a body first, so turnabout's fair play.
Into the bloodstream, and the chancre on the skin disappears. Now, that happens to quite a few people who think they're all right after the sore clears up. Now, Don, I'll have to have the names of the girls you've had sexual relations with. And naturally, this is confidential.
Oh, there haven't exactly been dozens. As a matter of fact, I know exactly where I got it. There was this one girl over in the city, Barbara Myers.
Well, now tell me everything you can about this girl, Don. You see, the health department over there will want to contact her to see that she's examined and treated before she gives the disease to someone else.
I'm afraid I don't know her address. As a matter of fact, I'm not even sure that's her real name.
Thank you, MH Dark Beast.
Anybody else, Don?
No, sir. Just that one girl.
Are you being honest with me, Don?
I told you, there was this one girl over in the city. And that's it.
Now, look here, son. I've admired your courage for coming in here and facing up to the facts. But you get it through your head that you're dealing with a deadly disease, not some common cold or a case of the chicken pox. If you think you're doing
I had to
some girl
check if
favor
I had
by
a shirt
protecting
on
her good
under
name
this.
and
I'm
reputation,
warm.
You're wrong. You're terribly wrong.
I said all there is to say. There is no other girl.
All right. If there's no other girl, we'll leave it at that. But before we do, I want to show you something. Now, come here. I've showed you the symptoms of syphilis as they appear in the male. Generally, the chancre appears on or around the external sex organs. Men and boys who contract
they not allowed to
syphilis have a
say
good chance of spotting
penis?
it when the danger signal
You
appears.
couldn't say penis in an
With a girl,
educational
however,
video?
It's not quite as easy. You see, a girl could develop a chancre way up inside, like this.
If you couldn't even say penis in an educational video, how did people know that the name of their genitals was penis?
Never know that she had syphilis. Of course, if she's lucky, it'll appear out in the open.
Like, does someone just take you aside at one point and go, "That's your penis, don't talk about it"?
Now, we don't have to worry about this, do we, Don? You say there's no other girl who might have become infected by you.
Even if a girl had it and didn't know it, she'd find out, wouldn't she? I mean, there'd be other signs.
Yes. Yes, sometimes there are other signs. In the secondary stage, a few weeks or months after the primary chancre disappears, she may develop a sore throat. Patches of her hair may come out. Or her skin may break out in a rash like this. Then again, the symptoms of secondary syphilis may be so slight that they go unnoticed. If she doesn't go to a doctor, or if a doctor isn't looking for syphilis, it may never be detected.
I can't even tell if
You
you're
see, the
joking,
secondary
Ashley.
symptoms, like the primary...
Like, I know it was a thing where a newly married or newly engaged couple might get books from, like, a religious leader or something that's like, hey, maybe check this out. Basic sex ed stuff, but, like, really?
Also will disappear even without treatment.
Well, you'd find it for sure when you had a blood test before you got married. They'd discover it there.
Now, that would be a lovely wedding present for a girl to discover that she had syphilis a few days before the wedding. And in some states, people can get married even without a blood test. But suppose she had undetected syphilis, inactive in the latent stages. She might go for years thinking that she's all right. Then, before she knows what's happening to her, she goes insane or becomes a hopeless cripple. Here's something else, Don. Congenital syphilis. Look at this baby. Its mother infected it before it was born because she had syphilis and didn't get treated. Now, you say there is no other girl, Don. But if you're lying to protect a girl, just consider what it might cost her.
But she might not even have it.
You can't take that risk. Only a doctor can tell you for sure.
She's a nice girl, Doctor. I don't want her to have to go through all this if she doesn't have to.
All right, Don. It's your decision. But if you're the young man I think you are, you'll bring that girl in to see me.
Hey, Mr. Duck Sauce, how's it going?
I have to think about it, Doctor. I've got to have time to think about it.
Now it's contemplative jazz.
She might not even have it.
I got a new album, Jazz, for when you're thinking about your syphilis diagnosis. No. I got syphilis the other day. No. My doctor's gonna tell my dad. No. I live in a nightmare. No. Cause it's the 50s.
Or becomes a hopeless cripple.
Oh, that little aw shucks kick. Aw shucks! My syphilis. Like if Charlie Brown got syphilis. Good grief.
Now, there's something I want to tell both of you. Now, what's happened is past. You both have the disease, and you will both have to be treated. Now, you took a risk by doing something that society condemns. Perhaps you didn't realize some of the penalties involved.
Betty, I didn't...
Literally, it's not your job to fucking castigate them. Give them the prescription and move on.
I know that you blame Don, but you should thank him for one thing.
Which thing, Doctor? Shall I thank him for giving it to me? For adding me to his list of girls? Just what do I thank him for?
For gosh sakes, Betty, I didn't mean to do this to you.
What is it, Doctor? What do I thank Don for?
Just be thankful he brought you in the first place. And be thankful he brought you before it was too late. Now, we've caught this thing in time. We can take care of it. You and Don are both going to be all right.
You may be right, Doctor. But right now, I'd rather be dead.
I know.
Literally, you just take penicillin. I know it's the 50s and the idea is that her reputation's gonna be ruined and everyone's gonna be a judgmental asshole.
But you're thinking only of this moment.
Have I ever told you all how much I hate society?
Tomorrow, You'd rather be cured.
I'm with Sartre on this one. Hell is other people. The judgments of others make me self-conscious. Have you ever seen No Exit? We should watch No Exit sometime. What a good fucking play. It's a one-act play. You get in, you get out. I always like to think after about 1,500 years in that room in No Exit, they all decided to be a throuple, and it turned out okay. It didn't, though. That's not what Sartre wanted. All right, let's get on with it. Let's see who we're gonna raid. I'm very clever in my own head, if you know the things I'm referencing. Anyway, who are we gonna raid? Who's this?
Born again Christian now.
Who's this?
Uproar about a new female unit recently.
What's
Oh,
it
the are you talking?
Who's this?
And Utah has been a guy who I've been looking at his YouTube channel because
We'll raid the mightiest Quinn, why not? Alright, I hope everyone has a wonderful night. I'll see you, what's tomorrow? Monday? Normally I wouldn't tomorrow stream because of electrolysis. I'm gonna try, because I really need to be honest. Guess we'll see. That raid not gonna work? Try this again. There we go. Alright, I hope everyone has a good night. I'll see you soon. Alright. Oh, if you came from the raid, consider giving me a follow. I stream almost every day. We do fun stuff all the time. And we have a great community. So, hang out. Watch me wear stupid costumes and watch silly things. Alright, see you soon, everyone. Bye. I'm gonna go see if I can get the boy adopted.